What if I told you that most of what you believe about the world is wrong? Not because you're unintelligent, but because your brain is literally working against you. Chimpanzees randomly picking answers outperform educated humans on basic questions about global poverty, population growth, and education. Chimps beating doctors, professors, and Nobel laureates. That's not a joke, that's data. And it's the premise of one of the most important books I have read in a long time, Factfulness by Hans Rosling. Today, I want to share why this book changed how I see the world, what makes it special, and one area perhaps where I think it falls a little short. So, what is Factfulness? It was written by Hans Rosling, a Swedish physician and professor of global health. Tragically, Hans passed away from pancreatic cancer just before the book was released, making this essentially his life's work. The core argument of the book is this: humans have deeply ingrained instincts that systematically distort our worldview. We think the world is more dangerous, more hopeless, and more divided than it actually is. Rosling identifies 10 specific instincts that cause this. Things like the gap instinct, which makes us see us versus them, the negativity instinct, which makes bad news stick while gradual improvements go unnoticed, the fear instinct, which makes us overestimate dramatic dangers. The book walks through each instinct, shows how it misleads us, and offers practical tools to counteract it. Let me share 3 things that made this book stand out for me. First, the way it presents data. Rosling spent decades building the Gapminder Foundation, creating some of the most intuitive data visualizations I've ever seen. For example, instead of dividing the world into developed and developing countries, which is hopelessly outdated, he introduces a 4-level framework based on income. Level 1 is extreme poverty. Level 4 is where most of you watching this probably live. But here's the insight. The vast majority of humanity, about 5 billion people, live on levels 2 and 3. They're not in desperate poverty, but they're not wealthy either. They have some electricity, maybe a motorcycle, their kids may go to school. It's not rich versus poor, it's a spectrum, and most people are somewhere in the middle, slowly moving up. This framework changed how I think about the world. The second thing I really like about this book is Rosling's intellectual humility. Throughout the book, he shares stories of times he got things really wrong. He assumed things about patients in Mozambique that turned out to be false. He made confident predictions that didn't pan out. Most authors who write about being rational come across as smug, like they have figured it all out and they're here to enlighten us. Rosling's book feels different. He's saying, I'm a professor who spent my life studying this and I still got fooled. You will too, and that's okay, as long as you try to build habits to check yourself. The third thing that I love about this book is that it gives you practical rules that you can actually use. So when you see a scary number, for example, ask, compared to what? 1 million sounds like a lot until you realize it's out of 8 billion. When you hear about a gap between groups, ask, is there actually a gap? Or it's an overlapping distribution. When you want to blame someone, ask, is this about a bad person or a bad system? The compared to what question alone is worth the price that you pay for this book. Now, my main criticism about this book, if you can really call it that, is that the book's optimism can feel a little too tidy. Rosling occasionally brushes past problems that are genuinely urgent. Climate change, for example. He addresses it, but the treatment feels cursory. You could come away thinking everything will improve through gradual progress. Well, some problems actually require coordinated, systematic, urgent intervention. Similarly, while global averages are improving, inequality within countries has often worsened. The book doesn't spend much time on that. None of this makes the book wrong, but remember that factfulness is a medicine for one type of thinking error, not a complete worldview. Here's what the book did for me personally. I read it at a time when the news cycle felt overwhelming. Every day brought a new crisis, a new reason to feel hopeless. But this book made me ask, is the world actually getting worse? Or am I just seeing more bad news because that's what spreads, that's what sells? Turns out it's mostly the latter. Child mortality is down, extreme poverty is down, education, vaccination, access to clean water, all increasing. These are measurable trends over decades. That doesn't mean everything is fine, but the story of relentless decline and a collapsing world is itself a distortion. For me, this was freeing. It made me more motivated because progress is possible. So, should you read Factfulness? Yes, absolutely yes. Especially if you want to think more clearly, make better decisions, or simply understand the world as it actually is, rather than as the headlines portray it. This book is a rare combination. It's rigorous but accessible. It's optimistic but not naive. It's practical but also deeply human. So that's my review. If you found this helpful, please consider subscribing. Drop me a comment letting me know if you would like me to review more books in the future. And if you have read Factfulness, I would love to hear your take. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.